Men versus women. When did we stop being on the same team? Hey, y'all, and welcome back to Anxious Dwellings. It's just me today. And honestly, I wanted to sit down and talk about something that I think everybody have been noticing lately. Um, this weird gender war that's going on. Men are tired of women are tired of men, and everybody seems to have like a list. Men don't do this anymore. Women don't do that anymore. Men aren't masculine. Women aren't feminine. Men don't want to provide. Um, Women don't appreciate men. Women are too independent. Men are emotionally unavailable. And I'm sitting here thinking, where did this list come from and when did we become enemies? Because somewhere along the way, dating stopped feeling like two people trying to find each other and started feeling like two opposing teams trying to prove who is worse. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm tired. Not necessarily tired of men or tired of women. I'm just tired of this war. So when did this war even start? I was wondering, like, when did this gender war really begin? Because obviously men and women have disagreed forever. We've always had different experiences. We've always had expectations placed on us. But what feels different now is how public everything is. We have social media, podcasts, TikTok, threads, YouTube, and every day somebody is telling us what the other gender is doing wrong. And the algorithm loves conflict. If somebody says men are trash, people are going to respond. If somebody says women are the problem, people are going to respond. Anger gets engagement, outrage gets views. And eventually, we start confusing viral conversations with reality because the loudest men aren't necessarily a representation of all men, and the loudest woman isn't necessarily a representation of all women. But we're watching these extreme examples every day and slowly developing opinions about an entire gender
based on the worst examples of them. I think a lot of this is hurt. And here's where I think things get interesting. A lot of what we're calling a gender war might actually be unhealed hurt. A woman gets cheated on, she says men aren't loyal. A man gets used financially, he says women only want money. A woman dates emotionally. Unavailable man, every time she dates an emotionally unavailable man, she says men don't know how to communicate. A man gets rejected over and over, he says women only want 6 foot tall millionaires. And sometimes those experiences are not real. That's important. We shouldn't dismiss somebody's experience just because it doesn't represent everybody. But here's the problem: pain loves to generalize. One person hurt us, and suddenly we're protecting ourselves from an entire gender. And now the next person who comes along has to pay for what somebody else did. The independence conversation. There's another part of this that I think we need to talk about, especially for women. Women have been taught to be independent, make your own money, build your career, get your own house, don't depend on a man. And I think that's beautiful. I genuinely believe women should be capable of standing on their own. But somewhere along the way, we've started confusing independence with not needing anybody. And those are not the same thing. I can take care of myself and still want somebody to take care of me sometimes. I can pay my own bills and still appreciate a man who wants to provide. I can be strong and still want softness. I can be independent and still want partnership. And men deserve that same freedom. A man can be strong and still need emotional support. A man can provide and still want to feel appreciated. A man can be masculine and still cry. A man can be successful and still want somebody to ask, baby, how are you doing? Maybe we're making people choose between being strong and being vulnerable. And maybe that's part of the problem. Men have their own hurt. And I think women need to be willing to hear this too. Men have been hurt. Men have been rejected. Men have been cheated on. Men have been used. And men have been abandoned. Men have been told to man up when they were struggling. And then we wonder why some men don't know how to communicate their emotions. You can't spend a man's entire life telling them that vulnerability is a weakness and then get mad at him when he doesn't know how to be vulnerable in a relationship. But at the same time, men have to be willing to do the work too, because being mean doesn't give us permission to hurt other people. Your past, it explains you. It doesn't excuse you. And that applies to both sides, right? What are we actually fighting here in this war? What are we actually fighting about? I think underneath all these arguments, men and women actually want a lot of the same thing. We want respect, we want loyalty, we want affection, we want to feel desired, we want honesty, we want somebody who keeps their word. We want emotional safety. We want somebody who chooses us. We want somebody who sees us. So why are we fighting each other so hard? Maybe we're focusing so much on what we think the other person owes us that we're forgetting to ask, what am I bringing to the relationship? Because it's easy to make a list of what you want, and it's harder to become the person capable of sustaining the kind of relationship you're asking for. So, how do we fix this? I don't think the answer is women becoming less independent. And I don't think it's men becoming something they're not. I think the answer is partnership. We have to start listening to each other instead of listening to respond. We have to stop assuming every man is the man who hurt us. We have to stop assuming every woman is the woman who hurt us. We have to stop treating vulnerability like a weakness. We have to learn how to communicate before we're angry. We have to apologize. We have to take accountability. We have to establish boundaries without becoming emotionally unavailable. And maybe most importantly, we have to remember that men and women aren't supposed to compete with each other. We're supposed to be able to be a team. We complement each other. We actually need each other. And this is probably the part people are going to argue with me about. Because I don't think needing someone is a weakness. I think we're human. We need community. We need friendship. We need family. We need connection. And romantic relationships can be one part of that connection. Men need women. Women need men. Not because either gender is incapable of surviving alone, but because surviving alone isn't the same thing as living connected. I can survive by myself. You can survive by yourself. But wouldn't it be nice to have somebody beside you? Somebody to laugh with? Somebody to experience life with? Somebody to call when something amazing happens? Somebody who knows the ugly parts of you and doesn't run away? Somebody who says, I'm here. We've got this. That's what partnership is supposed to feel like, guys. Not a power struggle, not a competition, not who needs more, not who has more value. Just two people choosing each other. So here's my final thought. Maybe the question isn't what's wrong with men or what's wrong with women. Maybe we should ask, what happened to us? When did love become a battlefield? When did vulnerability become embarrassing? When did needing someone become a weakness? When did protecting ourselves become more important than connecting with someone? And maybe healing the gender war starts with something really simple. Stop treating people like representatives of the people who hurt you. Meet people as their own individual. Listen, communicate, have standards, have boundaries, but leave room for somebody to surprise you. Because there are good men. There are good women. There are emotionally available men. There are emotionally available women. There are people who actually want healthy love. And maybe they're having a hard time finding each other because we're all standing across the battlefield, waiting for the other side to apologize first. So that's what I'm thinking about this week, right? Maybe we don't need another conversation about who's better, right? Maybe we need a conversation about how we can understand each other better. Because at the end of the day, we don't have to lose ourselves to love somebody. We don't have to become dependent. We don't have to become hardened. We don't have to stop being masculine or feminine. We just have to learn how to be human with each other again. And maybe that's where the healing begins. Thank you guys for sitting in this dwelling with me today. I'll see you next time. And until then, take care of your mind, take care of your heart, and try to give somebody a little more grace than what they expected. And remember, guys, we don't run from the ancient places. We sit in them, we dwell in them, we learn in them, and it helps us grow. Until next time, bye.